terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI
yes or no?
employees are only terminated
Yes
if
or
they
no,
fail
Mr.
to
Patel?
uphold their oaths of
Yes or
office
no?
and duty.
You're not
at the
answering my
FBI
question.
I don't have to
answering my
answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media
I'm
narrative.
not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People
in
have
whole
been
or in part
terminated at
because
the
they-
FBI who failed to uphold
they were
the
assigned
standards
to.
that the FBI requires them to
tell,
uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI that all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs. Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed for
Just
case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to someone?
People are not removed for case
No,
assignments.
you're not answering my question.
And I would
Mr.
never
Patel,
tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI?
But the Comey FBI failed to review the evidence at the time. After nearly a decade in the shadows, this information has now come to light thanks to Dr. Patel, or Director Patel, Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, during your confirmation hearing, you made several important commitments. For instance, you told Senator Coons there will be no politicization at the FBI. There'll be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as FBI director. So let me ask you very specifically, did you ever take any action to terminate or discipline an FBI agent or employee in whole or in part as retribution for being part of an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
No.
You also committed, you assured Senator Blumenthal, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. So you're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution.
None for political retribution.
And if any FBI agent said you did, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
I'm only speaking to my actions. Everybody is allowed to make their allegations.
Oh, no, these are allegations against you.
And
so, Mr. Patel, if FBI, senior FBI agents or employees said that you were firing them for political retribution reasons because of the cases they were assigned, you're saying they would be lying. Is that
anyone that
your
was terminated at the FBI was done so for failing to meet the standards, uphold their constitutional oath, and effectuate the mission.
Well, by meet the standards, are you talking about meet the standards of protecting the president under any circumstance?
No.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the same, absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI in whole or in part because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep
Okay,
putting words
well,
in my mouth,
then
go
let me
ahead.
ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees.
No, I'm
since
asking you a very specific
And I'm
question.
going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the
No,
truth
I
and it guts
want
your
an answer to my
narrative.
question. I don't want an answer to someone else's question. So let me just be precise, and I ask for a yes or no answer. Did you ever terminate FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no? Did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who had said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint and the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask
litigation.
you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.
No,
Patel? Why don't you
no
answer my question?
terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing
Did you ever
to
tell
uphold
anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to
office
answer
or
the
their-
question?
The FBI.
I guess
I
you're
have
not willing to
answered
answer the
it.
question. So let me move on. Let me
Repeatedly.
move on to the Epstein files.
In the echoing silence of that hearing room, after hours of accusation and denial, it came down to one word, we, a simple, ordinary word. But when Senator Adam Schiff leaned forward and asked Kash Patel what we truly meant, the temperature in that chamber changed. The former national security official, now nominee for one of the most powerful law enforcement roles in America, was suddenly forced to redefine the language itself. Not in every instance, Patel said, his voice tightening. Not unless you have a new definition for the word we? It was a moment that pierced through the performance of politics and landed squarely in the heart of moral clarity. Because beneath the debate over grammar and semantics, something far greater was on trial: the meaning of truth, responsibility, and the weight of public power. Schiff's challenge wasn't just about a song, it was about a system where words are bent until they lose shape, where patriotism becomes performance, where men who once held the public trust can rewrite history in real time and still claim innocence by linguistic acrobatics. When Schiff pressed Patel about the January 6th choir, about the violent offenders who had sung behind bars, he wasn't merely interrogating a nominee, he was drawing a line between memory and denial. They beat officers with poles, Schiff said, his tone cutting through the hall. They sprayed them with pepper spray. They're right there behind you. Look at them. It was not political theater. It was an appeal to conscience. A challenge to look into the eyes of those who had defended democracy and ask, what side are you truly on? And in that instant, the hearing transcended the bureaucracy of confirmation. It became something almost cinematic, a courtroom of the republic itself. The senators were no longer just public servants. They were stand-ins for a nation wrestling with its own reflection. Patel denied wrongdoing. He denied profit. He denied complicity. But every denial seemed to pull him deeper into contradiction. The more he spoke of loyalty to law enforcement, the louder the echo of that song. The anthem of those who had assaulted them hung in the air. It was not just about whether he had recorded a track or raised money. It was about moral proximity, about how easily power can rationalize proximity to violence if it serves the right narrative. When the conversation turned to classified documents, to the Mar-a-Lago files, the declassification claims, and the mystery of what was ordered and what was imagined, the hearing shifted from memory to national security. Schiff's voice carried the gravity of experience. Wouldn't you want to know, he asked, if making those documents public could get people killed? The question lingered like a warning, because in the shadows of secrecy and ego, real lives are often the unseen cost. Patel's answer, I don't know that he didn't, was more than a legal hedge. It was the sound of accountability slipping away, and that's what made the moment so haunting. Not the clash of two political figures, but the revelation of how far truth has to travel now just to reach daylight. How even a confirmation hearing, meant to test integrity, can instead become a mirror of our collective dissonance. Then came the close. A stack of letters, hundreds of thousands of police officers, or so the chairman said, supporting Patel's nomination. The paperwork of democracy, neat and official, placed into the record. Yet it felt less like validation and more like punctuation, a bureaucratic period after a moral question mark. Because what had unfolded was not just a political confrontation, it was a national allegory. Kash Patel, seated before the Senate, embodied the convergence of loyalty and denial, of deflection and belief. Schiff, facing him across that long wooden dais, embodied the persistence of inquiry, The stubborn, often lonely demand that truth be spoken aloud, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs something. It's easy to forget, in the haze of partisanship, that hearings like this are not about spectacle, they're about the silent architecture of trust. Who we trust with power, who we trust with secrets, who we trust to define the word we. When a nation starts to debate the meaning of its own pronouns, it's no longer just a question of politics. It's a question of identity, of what binds the people to their government, and what fractures that bond when the truth becomes negotiable. In that chamber, under the bright lights and the watchful cameras, America witnessed not just a clash of ideology, but a test of its moral core. For some, Patel's words were a defense, cautious, strategic, loyal. For others, they were an indictment, proof that truth, in the modern republic, is now a weapon wielded selectively. But the real story was larger still. It was the story of how a democracy interrogates itself, how it forces its own reflection, again and again, to see what remains intact and what has already faded. As the hearing adjourned, the sound of papers rustling replaced the sound of confrontation. Senators rose. Cameras clicked, but the questions lingered in the air, unresolved and echoing. What does it mean to serve the truth? What does it mean to defend justice when politics rewards distortion? And who decides when patriotism becomes propaganda? These are not questions that end with a gavel strike. They live on, in every institution, in every citizen, in every word we choose to believe. Because the survival of the American experiment has never depended solely on who sits behind the desk of power, but on whether the people themselves can still recognize the difference between conviction and convenience. And so, as the lights fade from that Senate chamber, one truth remains. Democracy does not collapse all at once. It erodes, slowly, through the comfort of half-truths and the silence of those who look away. That's why hearings like this matter. Not because they are loud, but because they are echoes, reminders of what's at stake when the truth is on trial. This was not just a confrontation between Kash Patel and Adam Schiff. It was a confrontation between memory and revision, between justice and justification. And as the nation watches, the question is not whether one man wins or loses, but whether the truth still stands a chance. This is Congress Chronicle. Subscribe, stay vigilant, and never stop watching the halls of power. Because accountability doesn't end when the hearing does. It begins there.